You're listening to the Love Your Neighbor podcast.
Well, welcome. Thanks for joining us on the Links podcast. It's brought to you by Brandon Wellness, and today our guest is Adam Rothenberger. Adam, welcome.
Thanks for having me. Very humbled to be here. Been watching, listening, and seen the list of influential people, and I'm not sure why I'm here. You must have hit the bottom of the barrel.
I want to actually share that story. It's actually, you're part of the reason why this exists.
Oof.
Seriously. It was at your class. You invited me to come in to talk to one of your entrepreneurial classes.
Yep.
And we talked a little bit about business and how your students were helping us with marketing.
Mm-hmm.
We did a project, and in that meeting, I was sitting next to Jill Meyer. And on the way out the door, Jill and I started talking about having a podcast where we would interview local people. And by the time we got to our cars, it was like, we're going to do this. And so Jill very generously and graciously said, I can help. And she got us going. And now it's obviously a huge part. So the Links podcast would not exist without Mr. Rothenberger and his vast community connections.
Oof. Well, thank you.
Well, it's true.
That was the great thing about teaching business marketing, was giving those students the opportunity to do something real for the community. Yeah. And the fact that you guys got something out of it, that's awesome too.
Yeah, it was so, for me, it was very cool to be back in the classroom. I was a classroom teacher, and to be back in that setting with all of those kids, those minds, those ideas, the energy. No one's told them what they can't do.
Mm-hmm.
They just believe they can. And it was so fun to be a part of that project. And then it really, Jill and I talked about it. It really just stimulated our creativity. And well, let's do a podcast. What if we did that? And Jill has been huge supporting this because, without Jill's passion and Jill's drive, we wouldn't have a newspaper in Brandon.
For sure.
So.
For sure. Yeah. She's again, one of those influential people that has been great for our community. Great for the classes that I taught to be able to share what's going on. And yeah.
Well, Adam, this show is about you. So enough about the podcast.
Yeah.
Let's tell for there's probably a few people in Brandon that don't know you, but let's tell your story. How did you get to Brandon? What's that journey been like? How did you?
Sure. My parents moved here in 1984, a year after I was born. So if you do the math, I'm coming up on a big milestone. But they came here. My mother was a teacher. She taught 30 plus years in the district. My father was in the printing business, which really doesn't exist before, computers put it all together. So he ended up shifting into subbing in the district. And so I grew up here all my life. Like many young people growing up, you want to get as far away as possible. So after high school, went to St. Cloud State for a solid semester and decided, I need to get back to where I know people. So
sure,
went to SDSU, and then got into I call it the family business of education. Brother's a teacher, had uncles, aunts in the education business, and again, my mother. And ended up getting a teaching job out on the Rosebud Reservation, Todd County. So I spent 2.5 years there. At that time, I got married to Crystal Meyer, who was a Brandon person. And so we decided after a couple years there of let's find something else. And we looked into Colorado. But really, it was our families. We wanted to be close to them. And so we moved back 2007 and have been here ever since.
Okay. Well, so you've got that experience of being out of Brandon. You know how good you have it in Brandon, right?
Oh, for sure. Yep. Yep.
So you graduated from high school. Were you and Crystal, were you guys classmates or were you close in school? Or
She was the grade below me.
Okay.
So I graduated in 01. She graduated in 02.
Okay.
Yep. And we're friends during high school and then college and went from there.
Okay.
Yep.
So were there a lot of your classmates in your Brandon? Did a lot of them go to SDSU?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Just like still today, majority will stick around SDSU, USD. Yep.
Congratulations, by the way, on your national championship.
Yeah. Go Jacks.
Did you make time to go down there for that?
No. I think that's one of our long-term goals is to be more of a follower to get to those events. But with young kids, it's a little tougher. And
Okay.
Yep.
So you and your wife live in Brandon. You guys have kids?
Yep. 3 kids.
3 kids? Okay.
Yep.
Are they all in school or not yet in school?
Yep. Ryland's 7th grade, so she and I are at the middle school together. It's kind of an odd feeling of working where your daughter's at. And then my boys are 4th and 3rd grade at BE.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool. You've had a major, well, I don't know if it's major, but I mean significant transition from being a high school teacher to being a middle school principal. Talk to us about that. Tell the parents that are listening, there may be even some students listening. I don't know, what is it that you would say, I'm so glad that I did this.
Yeah.
I made this transition.
There are days. Did I make
You
the right
remember
choice?
one of those, right?
Yeah. For me, making the transition to administration, there's multiple reasons, but part of it was, what I was doing in the classroom as far as I feel like having a positive influence on those students. I wanted a way of doing that for more students. So being an administrator, you get that opportunity of having that kind of influence, interaction with more of the students. And then my coaching background, as far as like trying to be a good leader for our staff too, leading through positive examples and trying to be a good listener and help them out too.
Cool. What did you take, or what's been the biggest transition from going to working with high schoolers to working with middle schoolers, or has that not been that big of a deal? Oh boy. Now we're going to get the good stuff.
Have you entered a middle school? Yeah.
See, I never graduated from middle school. I still live in that world.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. That's the beauty of being in education, especially middle school, high school. Like they keep you young.
Yeah.
And for that transition of high school to middle school, my beginning career in education was at the middle school level. And yep, they prepare you for everything. Everything. Every day is a roller coaster at the middle school because you get every emotion.
Sure.
They're trying to find themselves. They think they're adults, but not. They're still kids. Yeah. So they got great energy. At the high school level, some of those kids, they're a little more like focused as far as what they want to do. So, their energy might not be as much as a middle schooler.
I got you. Yeah. Well, I won't ask for specific stories. We would be here all day.
Oh, yes, you would.
We don't want to expose any, but I can imagine I loved it. I was a middle school teacher too. That's what I did for a number of years, and in many ways, still kind of I always say middle school boy is my spirit animal. They've got larger bodies and smaller brains than preschoolers, so.
And an intriguing smell.
Intriguing. That's right. That's right. There's I suppose you get to deal with some of those types of issues, some of those maybe non-classroom issues in your role.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't have a counseling background, but you certainly fill that role at times. And at the middle school level too, you're still trying to coach them, coach them through difficult situations, coach them through social situations, emotional situations. And so that's, also what I enjoy too. They're going to make mistakes, lots of mistakes. And it's trying to help them figure out what to do better next time. Because we want them all to become good people, good citizens. So
how would you encourage parents that maybe don't have any middle schoolers yet, but they have elementary kids, preschool kids that are going to be going through Brandon Valley Middle School? This is your chance to kind of set them up. What are some things that you would just love to see for that sixth grader that's going to be a seventh grader next year? What are the things they can be doing right now to have experienced the most success at the middle school?
Number one, deodorant. Let's make sure we have deodorant.
Okay.
Yep. Good hygiene.
Check.
Yep. Really, it's going to be patience.
Okay.
Understanding that they are going to go through those roller coaster of emotions. And at the same time that they're going through those things, of being able to also help them through, you're going to say some things you probably shouldn't say. Mm-hmm. Social media has been awful for middle school level. Mm-hmm. Just, not knowing how to navigate that correctly. Mm-hmm. So, coaching them as far as how to treat people, which again, super challenging at the middle school level. They're trying to find themselves and find the right friend group, and it's hard.
Yeah. I think, having your own kids and my own kids, I think that's sometimes, the major role of a parent is to just kind of be there. Mm-hmm. That steady, consistent, it's going to be okay, because
these are the years you want to forget. Yep. But you just got to get through them.
Right. Well, thank you, Adam, for what you do, and thank you for the difference that you make every day. A lot of people talk about making a difference, but every day you wake up and literally from the time you step in the door till the time you go home, whatever time that is, you're making an individual difference and a difference throughout the school. And as a citizen and a pastor in Brandon, I know what kind of a job, I know the job you have. Mm-hmm. And we as a community are very grateful for you. So
yeah, well, thank you.
Thanks.
We try our best.
Well, you do a great job, and let us know. Let us know whatever things we can do to help to make your job. I appreciate you involving me. I think that's one of the things that I appreciate most about you, is just reaching out and saying, hey, we want to bring you your voice and your experience to help educate our students. And I just, that was awesome for me. And like I said, that's that creativity, and that's why we get to have this podcast now. So
well, the school district is a part of the community, so the community should be able to be involved as much as they can. Yeah. So
that's cool. Well, let's shift gears a little bit.
Sure.
You mentioned coaching. Talk us a little about your career in coaching, athletics. Talk a little bit about that, and then kind of how you are involved in that today.
Sure.
Within the community.
In high school, I got into baseball, tennis. Those were kind of my main sports. And then when I was out at Todd County, they actually had a girls' tennis program. And so I was asked to kind of help with the tennis program there. And actually, when I was student teaching at Todd County at the high school, we tried to start a baseball program. Didn't work out. We didn't get anyone to show up for game day, practice, but not game day. So hard to have a season if you're not going to show up for games. And so I just kind of had that little interaction with coaching. When Crystal and I moved back, I was teaching at Roosevelt High School and was the assistant tennis coach for the girls team, and then asked to help coach boys baseball in the spring. So that's kind of where it got started. When I was coaching baseball, I remember Todd Anderson, who was a part of the Brandon Valley Baseball Association, reached out and asked if I wanted to coach during the summer in Brandon. which I was excited to do. Gave me the opportunity to be a part of the community, because for the most part I was, in the Sioux Falls district and with Sioux Falls kids, which is great. But this was an opportunity to be involved at home. So started there and coached for about 10 years. And then when I got into the Brandon School District, became the head girls tennis coach. After a couple of years, became the head boys tennis coach. Becky Blue, part of the Brandon Tennis Association. We worked together as far as, the tennis program as a whole. She asked me to be a part of the Brandon Tennis Association. I'm not sure why, but
she's kind of hard to say no to, isn't she?
She is. Super hard to say no. And so that's now kind of where I'm still involved with coaching. Once you get into administration, they don't let you coach. So still part of the Brandon Tennis Association.
Okay.
I'll help out like in the summer tournament and wherever I can.
Okay. You're also a part of the city government. You're on the park board.
Yeah.
Now, is that something you get elected to? I mean, is it just the salary that you're in it for?
Oh, my gosh, yes. The retirement benefits are second to none.
Good.
So that one, yeah. It seems like everything that sort of happened, it was like someone threw my name out there, and I seriously don't know why. But I got a call from Barb Fish, and she's like, Randy Marceau, mentioned your name. Would you be interested in being a part of the Parks Board? Like, we'll pay you. I'm like, I'm not in it for the money, obviously.
You should have asked how much.
Yeah, no. And like, here's another opportunity to, be involved, which, to be honest, like, I was always the person who would prefer blending into the background. And never really like sought out to be involved, but I've been very fortunate in my life to be surrounded by amazing people, friends, family. So like your Jeremy Risties, Matt Christensen's, who have been super involved in the community. I learned that from them.
Sure.
Same with like your Randy Marceau and your Barb Fishes.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of with that in mind, I accepted that one, and
sure.
I had a hard time saying no to people at that time.
Well, that's what you do. I mean, you're from Brandon. You've lived your whole life in Brandon.
Mm-hmm.
I see that theme. I have some friends in Brandon that have grown up here, and now in this season of life, I find a lot of them, it's like without even thinking. Scott Carroll is our next guest, and
yeah.
I marvel at what he does and the role that he plays in our
Special
community.
Olympics.
Yeah. And I just go, and it's almost like it's second nature. Like, this is just what we do. This is Brandon. We go to school, we come, we raise a family here, and then we give back to the community our time. And I just appreciate that has been instilled in you over the last, I know you said you got a big birthday coming up, but so does Brandon. Brandon has a 50-year birthday coming up. You're not the 50, you're the other one.
Yeah.
30. But that's coming up this summer, and we're excited because again, another way that I've kind of been able to get to interact with you is on this Brandon Wellness concept, and talk a little bit about, from the park board's perspective, from your perspective, what that could mean to have a 200,000 square foot wellness facility, indoor facility, turf, courts, basketball, soccer, tennis, pickleball. What could that mean for the community of Brandon?
Well, the community of Brandon has always thrived in academics, but also in our athletics, and trying to be a healthy community. So this Brandon Wellness facility just ties into what our purpose is in creating competitive athletics, providing opportunities for our citizens to be able to have a healthy life. And so it'd be huge. Getting, all of the organizations together, baseball, soccer, hockey, all of those organizations together and putting them in the same facility, it makes sense.
Right.
We're not Sioux Falls. We're not going to be able to put 10 different facilities around Brandon. We just can't.
Right.
So it'd be huge. Keeping some of our dollars of Brandon still here in Brandon.
Mm-hmm. Right. Expanding that Aspen Park so that it becomes, I think the best thing, expanding the Brandon Park, not just so that it's larger, but that it's all the calendar, because from November through March, there ain't a lot going on at Aspen Park.
Nope.
It's a little dead. Mm-hmm. And I, having been a middle school teacher, I can see the value. If we have a space like this, 200,000 square feet, indoor, heated, this would be a great place for a field trip for some of our middle school friends.
Burn off some energy. Yep.
A paper airplane expo.
Yep.
You could do the worm across the turf. I mean, the possibilities are endless.
Endless. Yep. Yep.
But I can really see our, what is better than a middle schooler that has a few hours to run around and burn off a little energy?
It's something positive. That's for sure. That's for sure. Yeah. I'd love to see it. Love for that to be a part of Brandon. From the park sport perspective, we want to see it happen. Obviously that's our focus is allowing the community of Brandon to have places to have their recreation and be able to take their families to places to have fun.
Yeah.
Get some exercise.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited. It's, with the 50-year anniversary, our birthday celebration, July 21st through the 23rd, I'm really, really believing because of partnerships with the park board, the city council, and tennis association, soccer association. I really see us being able to break ground on this thing. And I'm excited to see, different programs utilize it throughout the winter and throughout the year. I can't wait. And we're going to, obviously that's why part of the reason this podcast exists is to help promote that. We want to build and invest in the health and wellness of our community. And we do that, first of all, by having a shared space. The school is a great shared space. You've grown up there, you know that, but a wellness place can really serve a larger demographic of our growing community. So,
yeah.
Well, is there anything that you'd like to say to somebody that's maybe new to Brandon or has thinking about moving here or is recently moved here? What would you say to somebody? How do I fit in? How do I plug in Brandon? You've been here your whole life, so maybe you don't have good insights.
Yeah. From what we're always kind of told is people come here for our school district. And that's great. Get your kids in the district, but then look for opportunities to be involved. Don't be afraid to say yes. For how easy it might be to complain about some of the things that are going on in Brandon, that if you want to complain, just be ready to be a part of the solution. And we've got amazing business people here, looking at opportunities to grow our business community. There's a lot of people with great ideas. Bring them out. Crystal has been an entrepreneur, for the last decade or so. And, it's people like her that willing to take some risks and do some good things for the community.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good advice. I think that's something we all need to encourage, because you don't fit into a community unless you contribute in some way and you're willing to throw in.
And you could start small. Like we have, again, like with our different activity associations, they're looking for coaches.
Right.
Try to be a coach. That's how my parents kind of got started with, being involved in the community. Coach my brother and I. They're now part of the Brandon Historical Society. So, it's find a niche that fits your interests and be a part of it.
It's great. Well, Adam, I appreciate you taking the time today, and I'm glad that you're a part of our community, man. You make a difference, and although like you'd said, kind of like to step back, thank you for stepping up and being a part in so many different ways and all that you're doing. So,
well, thanks for creating this platform to help grow the community of Brandon.
Man, we got to share the love with
That's right.
What class was that? The business? Was it the business? What was it?
Intro to business.
Yep.
And then marketing. There's a lot of great opportunities there.
We got to give a lot of credit to the Brandon Valley High School and their role in starting this. So thanks for joining us, and want to encourage you, if you haven't already, to subscribe to our YouTube channel, share on social media this podcast and our YouTube channel, which you can find at Brandon Wellness, and you can see all of the other episodes, many other teachers, many other administrators within our district. You can learn about their story and support Brandon Wellness. Thanks.
Thank you for joining us on the Love Your Neighbor podcast. The purpose of the Love Your Neighbor podcast is to build community one conversation at a time. You can help us build that community by sharing the podcast on your social media channels and rating our podcast on whatever platform you're listening from. Another way is to let us know of any neighbors who have a story. Go Leaks!